Strange sheep. One day, the Pharisees surrounded Jesus in Jerusalem and asked him directly, "How long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, why don't you tell us plainly?" Jesus responded just as directly, "I have already told you, but you do not believe." He went on to speak about his works. Indeed, anyone can claim to be the Messiah, but people only need to look at a person's life and deeds. The life of Jesus was flawless, and his works evoked awe and wonder. "The works I do in my Father's name testify about me," Jesus said. Why didn't the Pharisees believe in Jesus? Their nature was alien and foreign, even though they knew many theological matters inside and out. "You do not believe because you are not my sheep." When Jesus said that his sheep know his voice and follow him, he meant that some people are inwardly, intuitively inclined toward his teaching, while state religion or denominational ideology compels obedience through force, tradition, or various manipulations. The teaching of Jesus does not use such methods. It is based on inner intuition and heartfelt trust. So why are some people unable to understand and believe in Jesus? There can be many reasons, including hereditary influences at the DNA level. Yet it's unlikely this is about predestination, as if God rejects some people from the outset. It all depends on the kind of intellectual seed sown into the soil of a person's heart and on the millions of random circumstances, like natural processes. A person may shut themselves off from life, love, and God as a result of soul wounds, betrayal, violence, religious pressure. To avoid feeling pain, they instinctively mute their sensitivity altogether. It's a defense mechanism, but it also blocks spiritual receptivity. Many people live behind a social mask, imitating others, fulfilling expectations, living a secondary life. But true spiritual sensitivity requires contact with one's authentic self. Without this, contact with God is impossible, for he speaks in the depth, in the silence of the true I. If God is associated only with punishment, fear, and control, the soul cannot respond to such an image. That's a psychological block. Only the image of God as love, as life, as Father, can warm a deeply frozen heart. And finally, a person may consciously and willingly live in falsehood, deceiving themselves and others. To sum up, the soul's insensitivity is not a sentence. It is often the result of inner blocks, habits, and pain. Jesus said, "My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one." Then the Jews again picked up stones to stone him. Jesus asked them which of his works they were stoning him for. And they answered that it wasn't for any work according to the law of Moses, but because he was making himself equal to God, for breaking theological taboos. Jesus' contemporaries understood the Messiah as just a human and believed no living man could be one with God. Jesus didn't defend himself. He didn't argue as equals, as is customary in religious debates. He looked them straight in the eye without flinching. His words didn't sound like theory. They were the breath of life, flowing from a depth unreachable to their frozen minds. He spoke as one who knows God not from books, but because he lives in him and carries his light, and they clutched stones in their hands. Blinded by the fragile armor of religion, they couldn't see the light in his eyes. It wasn't falsehood that outraged them. It was truth. It wasn't sin that disturbed them. It was the presence of the one who was truly holy. Jesus, standing before them, was a living challenge to their dead system. They sensed that if he was right, then their entire life was a lie, and to admit that was more terrifying than death.